So I want to go through quickly the components of my DIY solar generator and how it compares to some of the commercial products. When you build a DIY solar generator, the first thing you should choose is the case that you're going to put it in and how many batteries you're going to have, because that dictates the form factor, the size, and what can you fit in the case. So I picked the MTM ammo case. It's only $19 from Academy, and it's a good size, got a watertight seal, and really is a nice case. I've used them a few times. Next, pick your inverter. I've got a 1500 watt 24 volt inverter. Again, I'm building a 7S pack, so I'm running in the 24 volt range. So I picked a pure sine wave inverter. It's about $150. If you get the modified sine wave inverters, they are cheaper, but some electronics will not work on them. And so I generally recommend you spend the extra dollars and get a pure sine wave inverter. You got to get your source of batteries. That's one of the most expensive things. And so I use 210 LG batteries, and I actually only spent about $119 for the battery. The reason is there are companies that are recycling used batteries from various electronics, and if you get a good deal on them, you can get a great source of batteries. So right now there's battery clearance warehouse, I think, is getting rid of these LG M26 batteries for like $120 for 200, and they are excellent batteries in good condition, and I've used them myself, and they're excellent. You need some USB plugs, another $10. You need a recessed power plug, which goes in the front of the case. It was $12. Your BMS. Pick a BMS that is capable of the current you're going to run. So I'm running at max. I'll run around 60 amps. So I have a 65 amp BMS. But again, that's at max. I'm normally not going to run it at full current. But the BMS is $28 and actually has been working great so far. A fan to cool the case, $8. A power switch. I like to use a main hard power switch, another $8. A meter was $16, 100 amp meter. Some EC5 connectors, another $15. And then some miscellaneous wiring and other stuff, probably another $50. So I'm in my DIY solar generator about $440. So under $500, you can have a very powerful, actually about more powerful than anything you can buy commercially. And just to compare to what you can buy commercially, the Blue Eddy is it's a 1500 watt battery, which is great, a 1000 watt inverter, and it's $1,300. So it's got a smaller battery, smaller inverter, and costs $1,300. The EcoFlow has it actually has a 1200 watt battery, but an 1800 watt inverter, which is kind of backwards, but it does, and it's $1,400. So again, smaller battery, almost half the size, and it's $1,400. Now the Expert Power does actually have a larger battery than me, 2.4 watts versus my 2.1 kilowatts. But it only has a 1000 watt inverter for some reason, which I don't know why they picked such a small inverter. And it's $2,400, nearly $2,500 for this. And again, the DIY model costs a little over $400.
Well, I finally finished my my portable solar Powerwall, or they call them solar generators. But it's basically a portable Powerwall. And so I'm going to give you a quick overview of the finished product and what we have. First is the battery. This is 210 LG 2600 milliamp 10 amp cells. And they have been individually fused with fuse wire, every single individual cell. And then this is in a 7S configuration. It's 30. I have 30 cells per 30 cells in parallel, 7 in series for 210 cells. Here is my BMS. This is a 65 amp BMS. with balance. And then I also paralleled in a secondary balance wire, and that runs out here, and I'll show you how that works later. But that's just so that I can plug up an external balancer if I want to later. And it's a good idea to periodically go in and rebalance your pack, because these are good, but they're a little slow, and sometimes an external balancer is just what the doctor ordered. I also switched to EC5 connectors. The reason is this is 10 gauge wire, and it just doesn't fit very well on a XT60 connector. And this is a 1500 watt solar generator, and 1500 watts is starting to push the limits of what an XT60 connector can handle. So I switched to EC5, and I really like the first time I'm using them. I really like the way you can solder the pins on outside of the plastic housing and then just push and clip in the pins. Really like these EC5 connectors. So the battery goes in this MTM ammo case. I really like these MTM ammo cases. I've used them a few times on these solar generator builds, and they're great value for money. I think this one was only like $15, which is nothing for a waterproof hard case. Anyways, the battery, I've put the battery in. It still looks like a bit of a mess of wires because everything is semi-disconnected right now. I designed everything to be disconnectable so that I can disassemble the pack. There's nothing worse than building the whole thing, soldering everything in, and then you need to do something, excuse me, you need to do something to your battery or do something to the case, and you cannot disconnect it. So I use connectors on everything, and I build it so it can be disassembled. I'm going to put in the inverter now. You can see the inverter and the 12 volt regulator are on this board, and this board it slides in on top of the battery, and then I can connect up the wires. Okay, it is a, sorry if you saw the back of my head there, it's a bit of a tight squeeze getting it in and keeping all the wiring, the mess sort of in one corner so that I can remove the board. But let me hook everything up and then I'll give you a tour. Okay, let me give you a quick tour of the pack. You have your 110 volt outlets there, USBs there, meter here, switches for all the components over there. You have more USBs and a battery gauge on the front, and you have a main power and a cooling fan on the side. Let me flip the main power and then we can start to run through the functions. This first switch here is for the USBs. If I flip this up here, you can see that the USB is now on and showing the battery voltage. Luckily, I did some testing, and this USB was rated for 24 volts, but it actually took the 29 volts just fine and puts out a stable 5 volts. So this USB meter worked great. So we got USBs on the front. That's your that's great for charging without firing up the big inverter, so that's much more efficient. So we can turn that off. This is the cooling fan on the side. And hopefully you can hear that, and there is that blows cold air through the pack, and I have these vent holes on the side, and there's plenty of cold air coming through right now. That fan is actually a 12 volt fan, so I actually do run that through a 12 volt voltage regulator because, again, the pack is 30 volts and the fan didn't like receiving 30 volts direct, so I do run that through a 12 volt regulator, but that works great. Turn that off. This is the meter. I can flip this up so you can see it. You can see the pack's at 29 volts, pretty much full. And right now we're drawing 0 watts. I can fire up the inverter from here. And the inverter's on, and you can see it has a standby current of about 16 watts, which is quite a lot, but this is a 1500 watt inverter, so it is a big inverter. But you know, that's 16. But it's a real 1500 watt inverter. I can run my heat gun here at full ball, which is actually 1600 watts. And as you can see, it has no problems powering the heat gun at 1600 watts. Let's unplug that. Now let's turn everything off, flip the main switch, and I'll show you inside. Okay, let me give you a tour around the inside of the pack. Here is the main power wires coming up from the battery, as well as the secondary balance lead, which I just tuck down here when I'm not using it, but I can plug in an external balancer whenever I need to rebalance the pack. But here's the main power coming up. It turns immediately 90 and goes through this switch. Now the reason this wire is a bit of a jumble in this corner here is I originally was going to put the main power switch on the side here, but with this over here and all these other components on this side, it actually became impossible to remove the inverter and the board back out. The only way to get the board back out is to keep everything on this side and then to slide the inverter in from the left hand side. But so I ended up putting the power switch right here, and I do end up with a lot of electronics right in this corner, but it does allow me to disassemble the pack whenever I need to. So main power comes in, runs through this switch, which is rated for 300 amps, and then that goes into the 1500 watt pure sine wave inverter. The negative runs through the shunt and also off to the inverter. I tap, where is it? Here we go. I tap with this wire here, I tap a positive connection, and I tap off the shunt a negative connection, which runs to this bus bar. And that allows me to power all the external devices, as well as bring in the solar charging to recharge the battery. I run it all through this bus bar here. So here are the 4 switches. I have one main power wire coming up, and then it pigtails onto each one of these switches, and then the switches go off to all their individual components, either to the meter, to the fan, or to the USBs on the front here to power everything up. This is of course the 110 volt switch, and that wire just runs around and plugs right into the inverter here. This wire sticking out of the front of the inverter actually allows me to turn on the inverter with a switch on the outside. The inverter has this little on-off switch on the front here. Well, all that does is flip a big relay on the inside. There's not actually a lot of current that runs through this switch. So you can actually tap off that switch and run a secondary switch, and that secondary switch will function the same as the front switch and turn on off the inverter. And actually, let's turn on the power here, and you can see with the switch back here, I can turn on the inverter and I can turn off the inverter. This allows me to turn on the inverter from the outside, and you can see I've used little connectors on everything so that this can be removed and disassembled. The one other component that is on the board, and I do have connectors on, is this. This is a 12 volt step down transformer, and I use that to power the fan that is mounted over there. So if I turn on the fan, which I think is this switch here, nope, this switch, there we go. fan is running, that's actually running through this 12 volt step down transformer, just because the fan wanted 12 volts. Besides that, obviously there's the meter. The meter measures on each side of the shunt and gets its watt reading by measuring the change across the shunt. Besides that, this is and then one last item. What makes this a solar generator? Solar generators need solar. This has solar. This wire here, which actually hangs out the side, and I can tuck it in or pull it out whenever I want, and this XT60 connector is actually wired directly back to the battery. And that over there on the side of my desk is the lead from my solar. And my solar charge controller over there is already configured for a 7S pack. And this is a 7S pack. So I can plug this in. And flip on my solar charge controller and charge this pack up. Well, I can't do it one-handed. Charge this pack up directly from solar right here on my workbench whenever I want to. So yeah, I kept the inverter. The solar charge controller is actually outside of the pack. It's over there. But like I said, I can charge this up with solar whenever I want just by plugging it into this connector on my desk, and then I can tuck this back in when I'm done. And that, I think, is my finished 2.2 kilowatt solar generator pack portable Powerwall.